Chapter 56. Judah and Tamar. Genesis 38, 1-30. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shuha, and he took her and went in unto her. And she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And she yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Chezib when she bare him. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, Go into thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Then said Judah to Tamar his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at thy father's house, till Shelah my son be grown, for he said, Lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And in process of time the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted, and went up unto his sheep shearers to Timnah, he and his friend Hira the Adullamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, Behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnah to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnah, for she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned unto her by the way, and said, Go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, What wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me? And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, Wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? And he said, What pledge shall I give thee? And she said, Thy signet, and thy bracelets, and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. And she arose, and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend the Adullamite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, Where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside? And they said, There was no harlot in this place. And he returned to Judah, and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said, that there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, Let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. And it came to pass, about 3 months after, that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar thy daughter-in-law hath played the harlot, and also, behold, she is with child by whoredom. And Judah said, Bring her forth, and let her be burnt. When she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, By the man whose these are, I am with child. And she said, Discern, I pray thee, whose are these, the signet, and bracelets, and staff? And Judah acknowledged them, and said, She hath been more righteous than I, because that I give her not to Shelah my son. And he knew her again no more. And it came to pass, in the time of her travail, that, behold, twins were in her womb. And it came to pass, when she travailed, that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took it, and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, This come out first. And it came to pass, as he drew back his hand, that, behold, his brother came out, and she said, How hast thou broken forth? This breach be open upon thee. Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterwards came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zerah. Genesis 38, 1-30. In verse 1, we are told that Judah left his brothers, or went away from them. He was apparently sufficiently disgusted with his brothers over their treatment of Joseph that he separated himself from them. All the same, he neither denounced them nor condemned them. His suggestion had been enslavement, Genesis 37:26-28, so that his hands were not clean. In his separate estate, Judah married a Canaanite woman, the daughter of Shua, and sons of Er, Onan, and Shelah were born. We do not know how long his isolation from his father and brothers continued. We later see him again in contact with them all. When Er matured, Judah, quote, took a wife for Er his firstborn, whose name was Tamar, verse 6. This is very interesting because Judah had chosen his own wife, and he had some evil results in his sons. As we see later, Tamar was a woman of strong character. We are then told that, because Er was wicked, God, quote, slew him, verse 7. In terms of the Levirate law, the next son had the duty to provide seed for his dead brother. Onan, however, had no desire to provide Tamar with a son to inherit the major part of their father's estate, so that he, in going into Tamar, withdrew his penis in time to allow his seed to be wasted, lest that he should give seed to his brother, verse 9. As a result, God took Onan's life also, verse 10. Now Shelah, the youngest son, was not fully of age, although apparently old enough to provide seed to Tamar. Judah, however, apparently feared that Shelah would die also, as his brothers had, as a man of bad character. Tamar was sent back to her father's house, verse 11. In time, Judah's wife, Shua's daughter, died. Judah then left to join his sheep shearers, verse 12. Tamar, meanwhile, knew that Shelah was matured, but no step towards a levirate union had been taken by Judah, and she had apparently recognized the reason for it, verses 12 and 13. She accordingly took off her widow's robes, dressed as a sacred prostitute, veiled her face, and went to a place where she knew she would meet Judah, verses 14 and 15. Various forms of sacred prostitution were then common and also widespread in some areas over the centuries. A prostitute is someone who has sex for money, and over the centuries there have been both male and female prostitutes. A cultic, or sacred prostitute, was one whose hire went to the support of a pagan sanctuary or temple. When the people of Timnah told Judah, there was no harlot in this place, verse 22, the word used means a sacred prostitute. Judah had assumed that he was dealing with an ordinary prostitute, Zonah, not a Kedessa, a sacred whore. However, in verse 21 he asks, where is the Kedessa that was openly by the wayside? In any case, Judah comes out looking very much like another Canaanite. He has become a part of the landscape instead of a lord over it. From Abraham to Judah, we have a real decline. When Judah bargained for the prostitute's service, the price agreed upon was a kid from the flock. Tamar asked for security, and she was given a signet ring, some male bracelets, and Judah's staff, verses 16 to 19. From this relationship, Tamar became pregnant. When Judah later attempted to pay for the sexual service, no prostitute of any kind could be found, verse 20. He could only conclude, let her keep what I gave her, lest I be shamed, or literally, we become ashamed for failing to pay up. Some 3 months later, Judah was told that his daughter-in-law was pregnant. He ordered her to be brought to him, and let her be burnt, verse 24, the common punishment for adultery at that time, although not biblical. When she was brought forth, she sent to Judah the pledged items with the statement that the father of her child was their owner, verse 25. Judah recognized him. He knew that he had broken his promise to her to marry her to Shelah. She had tied her to the family, but in no way fulfilled his pledge to her. Judah publicly admitted his guilt and said, she hath been more righteous than I, because I gave her not to Shelah my son, and I knew her again no more. Verse 26. 2 sons were born to Tamar by Judah, Pharez and Zara, verse 30. Pharez became the ancestor of King David and of Jesus Christ, Matthew 1:3, Luke 3:33. A clear fact that emerges from this incident is the greater severity of God towards his own. In those decadent times, the sins of and Onan were mild compared to those of the Canaanites, but as members of the covenant, more was required of them than of the Canaanites. Membership in the covenant means greater blessings and greater judgments. Tamar comes through as a woman of character, more a part of the covenant than Judah and his sons. If a widow had children, she remained with her husband's family. If not, she returned to her father's house. Leviticus 22:13, Ruth 1:8. Judah had returned her to her father, but tied her to his youngest son. Tamar was an intelligent and perceptive woman. She knew that she could depend on Judah to acknowledge his paternity, and she staked her life on his integrity, and she was right. The subject of this chapter is Judah and his family, but even more, it is Tamar. Some ancient rabbis rightly praised her. A strong-willed woman with an intense sense of justice, she triumphed in an unusual situation and took her place among the notable persons of biblical history, an ancestress of Jesus Christ. Tamar knew Judah's character, and she risked her life in the confidence that Judah would vindicate her. She had not asked to be relieved of her levirate obligations to marry someone else. She clearly wanted to be a member of Judah's line, perhaps fully aware of the messianic promise. Clearly, she chose a dangerous course of action out of a sense of justice, as well as in terms of faith.